Let's go.
Let's
Honestly,
go.
listen.
We're here.
Some episodes we love it. We like every episode.
Yeah.
But I think I
got-
think I was meant to be a cop, bro, because I've always loved the
Shut up.
profession.
Are
to
we
be honest
the
with
ugly
you.
ones today on the podcast? Because
I don't know about you, bro. You can speak for yourself.
this is my boy Chief Edwin Lopez, my homie, my brother.
Pleasure to
Yes,
have
he
you
is.
on.
He is the top cop in Doral, but like he's my friend, so I'm gonna keep it professional today, Chief. But
I got a whole lot of questions for him.
we've been dying for you to be here, brother. Welcome.
Kiran, thank you for the sponsored by Atala Group. Kiran, thank you for the water. We need a little bit more. People love it.
We gave some to the Chief. You
Here's to the chief.
As a matter of fact, it's amazing. I'm gonna
want to go ahead and
Crack
crack
it
it
open,
open?
baby. Crack it open.
Crack one open. Hey, is the Chief?
It's actually good. It's great
ripped?
water.
The Chief is ripped. He looks like he drinks a lot of water.
I mean,
I'm not-
I would think
water.
that most cops would be like that.
Negative.
You know? So,
Negative. I don't think there's one chief of Feliz here in Miami. that
bro,
looks
you
like
get
homie.
access to like a full gym. You get all the amenities, man. How are you not gonna
Yeah,
use it?
but clearly he's the only one with abs. How are you, Edwin? Chief?
I'm doing good, thanks, brother.
Great, man. We're dying to have you on here. We finally got you on here.
Yeah.
Worked many events with homie. He represents, supports all the events that we do. Pig roast cop things. He does incredible things for Doral. So I'm honored to have you here. And we had Fraga here today.
Yeah.
So it's like Doral.
It works. Yes, we're showing a little bit up to Doral, and I can see it. We can see it in the comments in the page. But before we get any further, for those people who don't know you, Chief Lopez, explain to them a little bit about who you are.
Born and raised in Miami-Dade County.
Oh, wow.
305, man. Like it's an honor to be here, first of all, and it's an honor to live in Miami-Dade County. This community is amazing. Story of many. You know, 2 immigrant parents came to this country. You know, grew up very low income, but always had love at home, and seeing the example of hard work for me was the most important thing, because that same lifestyle that I lived as a kid, seeing my parents grind, working in factories, sewing, and working in construction,
Westchester.
allowed me to kind of see that firsthand and implement that same grind, that same hustle into adulthood, into a career that I never thought I would enter. I mean, I grew up in an era where we were scared of the police. I mean, my grandmother would hold my hand and say, "Hey, if you behave bad, I'm sending you to the cops."
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I grew up with a well-found fear of law enforcement. So you know, fast forward to where I'm at now, by the grace of God, being able to lead an amazing police department. I've been a chief of police for almost 8 years in total.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Amazing opportunities to impact and to guide the next generation, to coach, to mentor folks, and build that relationship with the community so that folks aren't scared of the cops. Know that we're here to protect them and build that trust.
That's a good point.
He's a Southwest Eagle.
I was gonna ask, like, you're Cuban, obviously. Your family's Cuban.
Westchester.
Yeah, my dad's Cuban, was a political prisoner in Cuba.
No way.
Fled the country, was able to go to Spain, met my mother in Spain. My mom's full Spaniard, accent and all.
Right?
Wow, that's amazing.
The Peter Pan flights from Cuba when everybody was letting out of Cuba, is that?
No.
No.
My dad came in Mariel. So.
Different program,
Other
different
programs,
avenues.
you know?
Yeah.
So long story short, they got married in Spain and came to this country, and we were born and raised here, my brother and I.
Oh, wow. A little background. And me and Chief are baseball dads. Our boys played
amazing.
since they were 7. They're still playing now. We're blessed, you know, and stuff.
Go to Columbus too, or no?
No, at Westminster, which is an amazing school as
yeah.
well. And he does a lot of stuff for the school too. We did the food stuff that we've done a couple of times, stuff like that. But fitness comes more when you see him. You know what I'm saying? Because you just look at his IG, you're exhausted of all his events and the nonstop that is your life. Talk to us a little bit about how important health is with your boy, with how you are with the department, because you're kind of like one of the chiefs that really like exercises for fun. I laugh because I'm a fat guy, but you really like get into it.
Yeah, I'm not in the business of comfort, you know. I'm not. I'm in the business of law enforcement. It's a unsteady job. Luckily, fitness and just health and wellness in general have been critical, right? And for law enforcement officers, it's important, man, because it's not the telltale. It's not always guaranteed that you're going to be able to get to save somebody's life. But if you are in decent shape, if you're able to carry your own weight, if you're able to get somewhere in 100-degree heat, right, you got to perform when you get there, right? So in the Miami heat, it's critical to put your body through torturous activities in terms of fitness, so that, God forbid, you're in a situation where you have to save somebody's life, you're a little bit more prepared. Now, it doesn't mean that every officer has to be in amazing shape. I mean, all shapes and sizes are welcome for the police department, because fitness doesn't measure your courage either. Absolutely. So it's a delicate balance, right? But for me, as a lifestyle on a personal basis, I'm into health and wellness. It's something I push in the community, and it allows me to bond with our officers and you know, impact them in a positive way, because the average law enforcement officer doesn't last many years after they retire due to health and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we don't get to enjoy our retirements many times. So health is a critical component. Remember, officers work a lot of hours. It's a high-stress job. You're working 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. The constant daily. Remember, people call the police when something negative happens.
When the
So
shit hits the fan.
it's constant negative experiences over time. It puts it drains your emotion, your energy. It takes a toll on your family and your kids.
Desensitized too.
So I try to kind of curb that and ensure that our officers are well prepared for post-retirement. That's critically important.
It's
I
important.
wanted to ask you, growing up in Miami, was this something that you always wanted to do, or how did you get into law enforcement? Where did you find your affinity and love for it?
Absolutely not. I had no concept of what the job of law enforcement officer was. I had no examples of law enforcement in my family. Like I said, my parents were, low income construction workers. My dad had a third grade education. My mom didn't go to college just because their career paths were different, right? In a different generation, in a different era.
Survive.
So for me, I graduated high school. I went to FIU. I graduated early, and I went into teaching.
No way.
I was a teacher for a year, a PE teacher, because I was into health and wellness and
for
sports.
sure.
I played sports my whole life. So a career day where some SWAT officers came and did a demonstration for the kids. I met one of the officers, and that kind of piqued my interest into law enforcement in terms of seeing what that officer did every day. The tactical part, the working out, the being able to serve in a greater capacity, for me was something that impacted me greatly. So I was able to go into law enforcement, and almost 25 years later, that's where I'm at.
So there, it's
Yeah.
amazing because I have a lot of friends I play ball with, and they're all law enforcement, right?
He was the chief for the school system, though. You can't leave that out. So
For-
for the whole Dade County School, that's where he comes from. That's where he got.
So I've been in Doral as a chief for 2.5 years. Before Doral, I was the chief of police for Miami-Dade Schools Police for 5 years.
Got you.
So an amazing opportunity to experience both sides, the educational law enforcement world and also now the municipality, and being able to blend both roles and really impact, right? Whether it comes to building relationships with the community, whether it comes to preparing our officers to combat an active shooter in a school,
Or with the kids, to know that cops aren't that bad, like you were saying.
and mentor, right? For me, that's huge, being able to change that culture, man.
I was gonna ask you a quick question: do school police have like less authority than typical police, or no?
No, so full-fledged police officers certified by the state of Florida. The only thing that changes is the jurisdiction they serve. They're primarily focused on the school. They do amazing work protecting schools. I was there for over 20 years. I was able to lead that department for 5 years. Amazing officers there. But going to Doral provided an amazing opportunity as well to experience municipal policing and implement some of the strategies into municipal policing. We were able to see over the last 2.5 years over a 40% reduction in crime in the city of Doral, one of the safest cities in South Florida, through the implementation of multiple strategies, creating additional specialized units to be able to combat unique trends in Doral. We've created an aggressive driving unit, a tactical response team as well, an auto theft unit, a fraud unit to investigate white-collar crime. Doral is an economic engine of Miami-Dade County. So there's tons of investors and tons of money that comes into that city, right? It's an amazing
tourism, man.
beautiful city. Whether you go to school there, whether you go to dine there, whether you go to enjoy the nightlife there, it's an amazing city. So with that comes a certain element of crime. So to be forward thinking as a police leader, you have to implement strategies not only for today but where the city will be moving forward. It's a city that has grown from 40,000 residents to almost 90,000 residents in 10 years. I mean, there's some traffic issues in Doral, but it's because it has amazing schools, amazing place to eat, amazing place to shop. Of course, people want to be in Doral. So with that comes, some traffic issues. But
the situation with the traffic is more of like there's only like the streets mainly have like 2 or 3 lanes. It's not like ample space in there.
Talking shit,
But listen, I was gonna ask you to that point, right? And you make a good point on the way you're foreseeing things happen in the future. Obviously, you have the Trump Doral over there. I want to get your experience when Trump or any president is coming to town and coming into your city. That's a whole different protocol, right? That you guys have to cooperate with the feds, or how does that work out?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact,
give us some insight into the process of when you have like a president, any president coming into the city.
So
like, how does that work?
So just to couch that statement, before Trump got shot in Pennsylvania, a few days before that, he was in Doral. And we were part of the dignitary protection detail, providing a safe and secure environment for him or any dignitary that comes, working alongside the other municipalities, because it's not a work that we do by ourselves, working with the state and federal agencies as well, right? But at the federal level, many times there's not enough resources. So the local involvement is paramount. So now, being that he's been elected president, he feels comfortable enough to visit Doral, to stay at the Trump Resort for 2 and 3 days at a time. So that's a feather in the cap for the men and women of the Doral Police Department
Yeah, 24 hours.
that provide the safety and security for presidential visit. And although I can't get into many specifics as to
Makes
what we
sense.
do,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, we're coordinating with all the law enforcement partners in our community. I want to give them a shout out because we can't do the job by ourselves. We leverage technology as well. We have a real-time operations center with monitors over 200 license plate readers, intersection cameras.
Wow.
We leverage drones as well.
It's amazing, man.
Because we need to safeguard our community, and we're able to monitor in real time in a remote location any activity in and around the location. So whether it's snipers, whether it's counter snipers, whether it's undercover personnel, whether it's technology, we leverage all available tools to safeguard anyone who visits our community, but primarily, obviously, dignitary figures.
But how are you, like, what's your message to your team before a situation like that, or an operation like that? Are you like, hey, guys, we need to be on point, like, there's no room for error type of here? Or just, like, if I could be like a fly on the wall on that, like, early morning meeting before everyone comes in?
Of course, that's our Super Bowl, right? That's our Super Bowl. That's game day. Yeah. And we got to prepare. So it's not only that day, it's what you do every day that creates the culture that motivates our officers. So you may see me at 4 a.m. training with our officers. You may see me shooting with them at the range. You may see me eating lunch with them.
Yeah.
I jump in the police car with them to see what a day is in the life of a police officer, how it is to patrol our streets, how to lead by example, how to get input from them. I meet with my officers and my civilian personnel one-on-one to really extract what is needed from, because you got to understand, many police officers don't have that relationship with the administration on a personal level.
Correct.
So I like to know exactly who my officers are. Are they married? Are they single? Are they going through some mental health issues? Do they have kids? Are their kids going through some issues? Because I'm a police chief, but I'm a father of a 9-year-old girl, the father of a 14-year-old boy, right? I've been married for 20 years. So I'm balancing being a dad, being a husband, and being a police chief, and a proactive police chief, a progressive one that is forward-thinking amongst all these, things going on. So it's challenging.
You spoke about working with the administration, and I got to ask this question because in our comments, we've just been getting hammered over and over. What's it like working with the administration now with these ICE pickups and illegal immigrants, which, we know Doral has a lot of because, there's a lot of Venezuelans, Colombians, et cetera. How is that, and how tough is it to actually, maybe apply some of these things that we need to do and kind of separate families and I don't know, like it's tough. We've just been getting like lit up with the comments and people.
Well, to
What's
be
the
fair,
dynamic?
we asked Christy Fraga about
Yeah.
it, and then she kind of gave her, she has to, obviously work with the administration. That's kind of like her angle. But being a representative for immigrant community, I guess what is it that's actually happening? I'm curious to do.
Yeah, what's the
to
detail
know,
and getting calls on who you
beyond like exposing something you're not supposed to. But
Right.
so just people are clear on what's going on.
No, listen, that's something that's sensitive to our community. I've grown to love, the Doral community, particularly the Venezuelan community.
we've become half Venezuelan. Go
Yeah.
there.
So in that, I built relationships with them, and I'm thankfully in a position where I can communicate the expectancies of the Doral Police Department in dealing with some of these new laws, right?
Yeah.
Our officers are not immigration officers, so we're not pulling cars over asking for immigration papers. Our officers are not asking during calls for service immigration status, and that's not our primary role. Our primary role is on safety and security for our residents or anybody who's visiting our city. However, we have to be compliant with certain state statutes or federal laws, right? And that's kind of where we're at now. It's the beginning phases of it, so we haven't participated in any raids with ICE. I get that question all the time. That has not, but we help, and this has always been historic.
They come into the community sometimes, and you need to assist.
Yeah, of
them?
course,
They're law enforcement officers, so they can. But even before all this, if they ask us or ask any law enforcement agency for assistance for a matter they're dealing with, we provide that assistance. But as a matter of fact, this law hasn't been implemented yet in every single place. So there are certain counties that are moving faster than others, certain cities that are moving faster than others. We're just exploring the memorandum of understanding and to be compliant with the law. There are certain intricacies with this law. The cities have to become, because then you run the risk of they withhold funding. Elected officials can be removed from office. So this is all based on the interpretation of our attorneys, of our city attorneys, and they're really digesting a lot of these new laws and then going into agreements. We haven't gone into specific MOU yet, delineating, but we have to be compliant, and that's kind of the initial steps that the city has taken.
Look, I think what's happened is a lot of people have gotten used to people not upholding the law in certain cases in other states, and they think that that's the norm. But if you have federal forces coming in here, or a mandate from a president saying this is what needs to occur. As a city, as a county, whatever, you need to abide by those laws. That's just
but is there like
what your
fear?
objective is.
Is there like a fear?
There is a fear, like the same fear that my parents had coming into this country. You're in a new country, right? The threat of going back to a communist country, that's a real threat. And none of us deal with that on a daily basis. And we're blessed and fortunate, thank God, right?
Yeah.
But that's something that I'm extremely sensitive to because I've built relationships with a lot of these folks in this community. Now, we have a zero tolerance for any crime in our community. So if our officers are responding to a call for service and we're dealing with a criminal, right? Yeah. And on top of this criminal activity, the subject, the person committing the crimes, is also not legal in this country, then there's certain parameters that take place and certain actions on our end that we're going to do. Yeah.
And but that's always been known and
it's always been
worried about, it's just now it's exasperated because of the situation, they're being a little bit more aggressive in finding it. But it's always been like that. I've had friends that come without papers that I can't be getting pulled over. Hey, I can't be doing this. Hey, I can't be doing that. I can't be messing around because you know the status. Even people who come on work or student visas.
Sure.
We have plenty of them that work here. We got interns. They've all also been the same way. Like, I can't be drinking and driving and stuff like that. You're supposed to be setting an example right now.
Yeah,
but anyways.
You did implement a hard stance on all this stuff. I know you guys, you on your social media and the departments on the no tolerance. Is that something that you implemented? Because I know you guys really, really like.
But no tolerance on what?
On everything. Especially he does some like you were saying, like some checkups and stuff, and you go around of all your guys and you're doing videos and content and stuff. That other chiefs don't do that. Is that your stance on the no tolerance stuff? Because it is a little tighter now, right?
It is.
You guys don't fuck around. You know what I'm saying?
My ultimate goal, quite frankly, is if you're thinking of committing crimes, don't come into Doral. Right. And that's the mindset, right, with our community.
That's what I've seen posts. That's what I'm talking about.
Actually think of committing crimes? Yeah.
Well,
planned burglary?
No, for sure, bro. For sure. And like I said, the growth.
Course. But so when I got to Doral, we had 45 less officers that we do now. So we've implemented a huge hiring campaign, been able to attract police officers to Doral. Doral's an amazing city, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the branding wasn't there. People didn't know about Doral, in my opinion, because before I came to Doral, I didn't really know the culture in Doral. So I wanted to really establish that so that the community understood exactly the stance of law enforcement. We redesigned our police vehicles to make them more bold and more visible. We reallocated resources that were in administrative positions, cops that were basically on desk duty or performing administrative duties, back into the road. So we increased our staffing by over 40%. We've seen our crime go down by 40%. We've implemented strategic crime reducing initiatives, like, for example, putting marked police cars in our intersections, entering the city. That's critically important. So anybody who drives into Doral, the first thing they see is a Doral police car. Because my goal is this. When I talk to the community, they don't want to be victims to a crime. Yes, if a crime occurs, we want to catch them, but I don't want the crime to occur. So my number one goal is to deter crime in Doral, and it's working. And it's working because of a combination of things. It's working because
because I get a little nervous when I'm driving Doral.
Well, we have some badass cops in Doral.
You got to pull this guy over. This is what he has in the car. He's nervous about.
We have cops that do amazing work, but our cops have the support also, from my perspective, to give them the resources to be able to do their job. So it's a zero tolerance mindset. Now we catch a 12 or 13-year-old or a 16-year-old, doing something minor. We coach them, we mentor them. I'm not trying to take them to jail. We were all that age once, and that's the last thing I do is want to give an arrest record to a kid who's going to be avoided.
The reason I bring that up because I know you've brought a lot of stuff, the energy that you guys bring, especially when they do events. They've done our pig roast and stuff like that. Doral and Rick's back there, they get hated on so much when they do events because it's such a party, right? The energy is incredible, the activation. You guys always go the extra step. Are you clearly know that you have haters in all the departments?
Yeah.
You know about that?
Yeah, but
it's all love, but it's like they hate on you because you guys bring it.
Yeah, but I want to get more haters, which is a problem. I'm trying to develop more because they keep me motivated. Because at the end of the day, I go to
have more after this. So.
I go to sleep at night comfortable, man, because at the end of the day, we wake up in the morning and wake up with the mission of how can we help others.
For sure, bro.
And part of the hype game that we do at these events is to create the culture and the vibe that is
so much
not only
fun.
to recruit, but to build the morale within the department. You got to understand, like I mentioned before, our cops deal with negativity every day.
Yes.
So a lot of cops become disgruntled because they're dealing with negativity year after year. So I try to change the game up, give them a different perspective, create the morale, and let them know that, bro, chief is like you, man. We're the same people, and
that's the vibe that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you here and talk to our audience, because you're different, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? We've been boys for a decade, but you just, like, there's no reason for you to do videos and have this energy, because you're, you know, a chief, and the chief's supposed to be, but not only you're professional, but you bring energy, your exercise, your videos, even when you go to restaurants, and you're a big eater. You know?
Yeah,
So
I am.
You know, you're not one of those guys. Obviously, you probably run and stuff after, but nobody understands that. But it's just the whole energy and vibe. It's really, really commendable.
Thank you, bro.
All right. There's some things that people always ask about. Okay, number one, is there a real ticket quota? Like, I get that asked all the time. Some people say yes, some people say no. For the public out there, do cops actually have a ticket quota at the end of the month that they need to hand out tickets?
Absolutely not. And I can speak
Not true.
firsthand. What we do push for is productivity, but productivity comes in engagement with the community, comes with warnings. There's not specific citations. As a matter of fact, I tell my officers all the time, I don't care necessarily about the citation. Many times, if you pull a vehicle over that's committing an infraction, or the driver's committing an infraction, the education part for me is a lot more important, because I always picture my mom and dad getting pulled over, getting hit with a $200 ticket, or a maintenance worker, or someone who does landscaping, right? And then they get hit with a $300 ticket or a $200 ticket. That may be what they make in a week.
So then how do I get pulled over? Let's say I do get pulled over. How can I get off with a warning?
So listen, my recommendation, that's a question I get all the time. Bro, have a conversation. Be polite. Be kind, right? Because once you start the interaction in a negative tone, the officer has discretion. So it could be a citation or it could be a warning.
You say it so nicely, but sometimes they entra un empingue.
You know, I've got pulled over like 9 times.
Bro.
8 out of the 9 were warnings.
Bro, but if you get like a 20-year-old, hey, what's good, bro? Like, I could be your father and you hit me up with $300, bro.
It can't. Sometimes the cops can't win, right? Because we get complaints all the time. Oh, we need more enforcement. We need more enforcement. My child got killed by a drunk driver or by a speeder or someone speeding in the schools. I know, but I tell you, because we get these complaints all the time. Do something about it. So we go, but we pull over a person and they may get a citation, and it's their only time that they get pulled over in their life, and then they don't end up with a warning. They end up with a citation. So it's sometimes a lose-lose situation. We do our best. We try to assess every situation, and depending on the infraction, and depending on the situation, depending on people's attitude as well. That matters a lot.
So another things that I see viral on on Instagram, is these like search protocols, right? If you're getting pulled over, let's say in Doral, and you're being asked to search, what are like the protocols? Like, think about the person as the community member. What should be their approach to that type of like engagement from a cop? You know,
it's a judgment call based on, are you on your way to school or on the way to work with no drugs in the car, or are you driving with 20 kilos of cocaine in the car? Right. It's two different situations.
Both very possible in Doral.
Well, no, in Miami-Dade County, right? So it depends on the mindset. If you're obviously driving and committing felonies, then you got to be prepared to encounter law enforcement officers. If you have nothing to worry about, then it is what it is. But generally, probable cause is needed, right, to do that. But you can also give consent as well. So you may have an officer that says, "Hey, do you mind if we search your car?" And then that's a judgment call on your end. They may not have probable cause at that time, but let's say canine comes, is canine officer, the dog may provide probable cause, and then that kind of changes the dynamics. Every situation is different. My recommendation is always to be kind, have a conversation, and follow the law, and you have nothing to worry about.
That's a good point.
To add to that, Saturday, the park opens.
Yeah, man.
Officially.
It's a big
Doral
deal.
Central Park.
Doral Central Park.
Let me stop this. Mondari's Wild is off the chain, man.
No, thank you.
Mondari's 100
you
years.
guys, or you, Kiko, you sent me a couple bottles to sample, and no microplastics, glass.
I know you're big on health, and that's huge.
This is the real deal.
And it's good.
It's crazy how much smoother it actually tastes in water.
Thank you, officer. Thank you for the shout out.
Appreciate it. Central Park, yes.
Yeah, Central Park won the park, and we talked to Mayor Fraga about it. She says you guys are ready. Is there going to be a police officer there the whole time? What are you guys preparing? Should you have to prepare?
Doral Central Park will be the premier park in Miami-Dade County. Yeah. I mean, it's over 40 acres. I mean, there's I'm a park kid. I grew up going to all the parks in Hialeah, Tropical Park, all over the place. It was free. So as a poor kid, we used to go to the park and spend a Saturday or Sunday there at no cost. Well, Doral Central Park, for me, is going to be the premier park in South Florida, from a water parks to Olympic-sized pool to amazing fields, turf, natural grass. Skate park for the kids. I mean, it's amazing.
But is it open to the public?
It's open to the public. We will have
free.
Yeah, most of the commodities are free. Obviously, they have a wellness center that's a full-fledged gym.
But I can pull up to Doral Central Park and jump in the Olympic pool, sin problema. Or is there like fees? That's what I'm asking.
There may be, well,
like, do you have to be a resident?
So you got to find a form.
it's open to the public residents and non-residents. There are some things that have food and certain components there that will have a cost. But we're creating a park response unit, which is pretty cool.
That's my question to you.
So we're gonna have full-time law enforcement officers, part of the Doral Police Department, embedded into that park and the other parks as well on a full-time basis. So that's a new thing that we're unveiling in the coming days. It's going to be an opportunity for kids to see cops in the park. You know, cops that want to interact with kids, they feel safe, and they also get to bridge that gap. Remember how I grew up, right? Being scared of the cops. This is another layer that assists us in building that relationship with the community. So we're excited for that, man.
I love that. And the park closes at sundown anyway, right? Sunset it closes.
Oh, I thought it was open till a little bit later. Do they have like barbecue stations and stuff?
I don't know. I'm sure that's
It's
I haven't been to it. That's why. I mean, I know they had a media.
you know what? I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm going to invite you Saturday.
Okay, I'll be there Saturday.
Come swim by Saturday. 10 in the morning.
10 in the morning.
But it'll be open throughout. And then that's the grand opening event. And then obviously from Sunday forward it's on. It is on.
open.
Okay.
All right. You
You
got something there, though?
yeah, I got plenty.
I
But
got already some questions.
okay, go for it.
Okay, let's talk about our kids.
Oh,
EJ's your son, PT's my son. They play baseball together. They have a lot of girlfriends. How do you balance having young kids and boys our age? Because we were, you know, I mean, you're a chief, but we were kind of like jodedores.
This is, by the way, a great Father's Day question. So
Yeah. That's why I brought it. I mean, you know, we weren't bad kids, but, you know.
mischievous.
Yeah, we like to joder and stuff.
Especially in Miami.
I got Rick laughing in the background. Brother, I'm having problems protecting my boy more than my daughter now. Just because they play ball, they play baseball, they're focused, they're pretty sharp. And we don't want them to derail a little bit, right? How do we balance fatherhood?
It's tough parenting,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying?
Like I thought, man, I'm the cool dad. I work out with my son. We play sports.
We are, but
Bro, but this age is tough. The butting of heads, right?
when the girls too now are like, you know,
That's just another element involved in it. The text messaging, the social media,
That don't be sending dick pics, you know.
Exactly.
Don't be doing that at all.
Hey,
Don't be doing
one
that at all.
mistake that they make
That's a big.
that
Who watches that
that
more?
stays there forever.
Your wife, which I know is an amazing woman and does a lot, or you? Like who goes into phones and shit and starts checking stuff? Because I check.
Well, this is the rule, and this is
We pay for the phone, right?
if we pay for the phone,
You
the
see?
phone's charged in my room.
Yeah.
The phone, so my kid doesn't have access to the phone past a certain time of the day. So I charge all the phones in my room. So at least I know that from 10, 11,
Are you listening to
12
what?
at night to the morning. Absolutely.
Really?
That's a good idea.
That's just one element. But anything can happen at any time.
Yeah, because he has an adult daughter. She goes to college.
Yeah, but I went through that already.
It's still her baby, but it's still his baby, but she's an adult.
But I'll give you some advice of when I went through that stuff. My thing, I always allowed her to just be herself. You know, I always wanted to you know, without pushing too much. And then you start noticing something going down, a little bad grade here, etc. I went straight to the phone. Went to the phone, read everything. Cleared the phone for a month. Canceled a camp visit that she had up to like Seattle that she was going to. Canceled. Worked the whole 3 months. Came back as a new kid, completely. Said you're spending time with your family, and that's it only. And I saw her phone once, and it's all in the numbers. And I saw the way that her time was being distributed on apps, right? And I obviously social media, Snapchat, Instagram, this, that. I said, baby, I'm going to do some quick calculations for you. A snap takes 10 seconds to open. How many snaps are you getting from your friends? You're spending 2 hours in here. Mm-hmm. You're getting 150 snaps a day. You're opening 150 snaps to say what? To show a picture of food or something? You just burnt 2 hours.
Broke it down like a marketing proposal.
And I said, yeah. And I said, Instagram, you're spending 2 hours. You could be spending 2 hours on studying, on this, on that, on learning something. When you explain to them how time is being spent and what that means when it compounds over time.
It's eye-opening.
It's like, okay, so you're wasting just burning like crucial moments in your life.
No, that's a great outlet.
And I said, you can't be. So what I did, I put limits on the app. I put time limits. You can be on Instagram for 30 minutes and it blocks it out completely.
Oh, really?
You can be on Snapchat for 30 minutes, blocks it out. You can. I have to approve it. She has to send a message. There's an app that does that. Can I have 10 more minutes? And then you approve on your phone and it sends it to them and they can have 20 more minutes.
You know what I did recently? I yanked the damn door out of the room. No privacy. Zero tolerance.
I'm glad you said that. Are you a strict dad, Chief?
My dad did that.
My son's door to his bedroom is in the front yard of the house. That's it. And then
What did he do? Something.
He had the phone in his room at night.
Oh, he snuck in.
He tried to pull a fast one.
So who's the enforcer? You or your wife?
it's a collab. It's
you coming balls blazing when you need to, but on a daily, like.
probably her. She's more because I have that friend relationship with him as well, so we're able to bond during certain times, but we clash as well. But she, I think, has become now a little more of the disciplinarian, which the good cop bad cop, it kind of works out. But it's to raise a 14-year-old in this day and age.
But you know what? I think that clashing is not bad, man.
No,
it creates friction. It creates like a match.
Natural. It's gonna.
My son is.
You have to be used to fighting and stuff, like going back and forth.
We do gotta monitor that phone, bro, because there's a lot of.
But definitely, it's a different relationship than I had with my dad growing up. My dad loved me as a kid. My dad was the provider, but my dad and I didn't have that bond where he was affectionate. Different era. I'm more affectionate with my son, and I find myself doing things differently than my dad was with me. Different priorities and different upbringing, man, and different challenges. So
you also take the good stuff from when you grow up and then implement your own good stuff.
I just don't want him to waste time, man. These are critical years, and I want him to be able to take advantage of, because we look back now and maybe we do things a little differently. And
I think they're critical for us because once they stop playing, right? Because we've been dads for sports since the beginning. Either they go all the way, or my biggest fear is when they say, you know what, Dad, here's the bat. I don't want to do it no more. I'm dying.
Sometimes because of the pressure that we put on them at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
It's fine because we're smarter than that, because if they did something else, we're fine still. But, being baseball dads, it's always kind of like that little hope of maybe, keep pushing. And for me, I always thought, we have daughters as well, protect the daughter from the dirty boys, and you get away from my kid. You kidding me? But now it's like my son, and making sure he doesn't get derailed and starts falling in love with things that young boys fall in love with and start liking. And that's my biggest thing right now. And he's been pretty good, but I'll check that phone. And I might implement that.
Yank the damn door out. Take the door out. I want that door in your front, in your driveway today.
You know what Edwin said? He's going to fuck you up.
Listen, I wanted to have a couple more questions before we finish up. Recruitment. You said recruitment in Doral Police is up? Or how is it looking? Like, give us, I guess, your recruitment pitch. Like, if somebody actually wants to get into law enforcement and be a part of the Doral Police, how would you go about that, and how's it looking?
Why not Doral? I mean, listen, just if you take and it's 15 square miles, so it's not a huge city, but big enough where it has different pockets. Not a perfect city, right? But it's a perfect balance. You have enough crime, right? Because people drive through Doral to get to different places. So you have enough crime to keep our officers busy, right? Because people become law enforcement officers many times, right? The majority to put people in jail, right? To put bad guys in jail, or bad girls in jail, criminals in jail. So it has enough action to keep our folks busy, enough community engagement, right? Where it's amazing opportunities to kind of do an alternative type of police work that has become very popular in the last 30 years, which is based on community policing, engaging with our community, building that rapport. Amazing places to dine and eat. Amazing schools to put your kids in, right, as well. Amazing park system. So why not Doral?
But question,
why not Doral?
If I want to be a police in Doral, I have to live in Doral? Is that
the
thing?
No. We have officers that live in, from Monroe County to Broward County and Miami-Dade, obviously. But so it's an amazing city. Amazing leadership. Obviously, we have an amazing mayor. But our elected officials...
Because I hear that there's like a long wait list to become a cop. Is that not the case for city for Doral?
Well, we just had a trial basically with
I just sent some
over 100 people trying out for just
lady to apply
to a few spots. So a lot of people are enjoying the vibe that we have, the culture that we have, and the involvement. My command staff, not only me, my command staff and I go and ride with the officers multiple times to see what it is that they live with on a daily basis. I'm not in my office just making policies and procedures. You're on the street. I'm on the street, and I'm changing that culture so people see that and they want part of that. Whether it's the fitness related aspect of it, whether it's the mentoring, whether it's the community engagement, it's a certain vibe that's coming that's attracting people. Over 100 people last week trying out to become a cop in Doral.
That's dope. But are you? I guess my question is: are you actively hiring?
We're always hiring.
You're always hiring
because we're growing, but not because not because we're desperate for people.
Yeah, because the city's growing.
We're growing. We want to enhance the amount of officers. We've added over 45 officers since I've been the chief there. New officers, which is an amazing opportunity. Many places are having a difficult time to hire because it's a difficult profession. Many people don't want to become cops now.
That's why,
you make one mistake and you're crucified. You're chastised for one mistake you make. You could do it right a million times, but for the one mistake, so many people were finding that they want to choose a different profession. But luckily, there's still a pocket of folks in our community that want that challenge to becoming a cop.
Most among all the departments?
Or
other cities that
we're amongst the leaders. I can guarantee you that.
You guys also have the headquarters of the PBA.
Yes,
in Doral.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you to allow you to talk a little bit about what the PBA means to you and how important it is to the police community.
Critically important.
Before he says anything, he's a champion.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
Critically important, man. The PBA provides representation for our police officers. We have a great relationship with them. It's important to forge that relationship as well because many times the interests are different, right, between management and union representatives. We all have the same interests, but sometimes the priorities are different, right? Yes. But I want my cops to be compensated well. I want my officers to have the best benefits. I want the quality of life, the work conditions to be the best. And so does the PBA as well. So I've always had a great relationship with our unions, and I'm involved. If they have, I'm into mitigating problems before they escalate, and that's why my relationship with the PBA is amazing. They have great leadership with Stedman over there and Dave and all those guys.
Pig roast.
They used to have like a basketball tournament when I was young. It was because I used to go to that, but
now it's become a pig roast from basketball to pig roast.
Pig roast. Primo, one of the big things that we are getting ready for in October. You guys are having the first mayor/chief of police ball. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a big deal. This is like that's literally like
you're really gonna get some haters now.
That's in the infancy.
We do the mayor's ball here.
We're doing it. We spoke to Christy earlier off the air and wanted to clear it up. What's that like? What's that about?
It's gonna be a 3-day event. What? It's in the infancy stages. It's gonna be the mayor's State of the City address on a Thursday. Friday is gonna be a golf tournament. And Saturday will be the actual gala, all in the name of raising money for the PP4K, which is the Police and Parks for Kids. It's an amazing organization where we're actually raising money to create more programs and resources between the police department and the kids, so we can basically enhance that experience. All on the route. Remember, we talking about how we grew up. Law enforcement, fear of law enforcement. This is going to help us bridge the gap, raise money for an amazing cause, and create.
This is the first of its kind. I mean, there's mayor balls every city does.
But that started recently. Nobody was doing that.
It's a mayor/chief ball.
This will be the mayor and police chief gala. Absolutely.
It's great because you don't see that symmetry or that relationship in other departments. That's great. Are we going to be able to get tickets for that? Or
yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, it's in the infancy stages. We got
to go dressed up, though, right?
Yeah, of course. Black tie, bro.
I don't wear shirts all the time. This guy's always saying I wear shirts.
You got to wear it, yeah.
Listen, that's October, right? Just to be clear?
That's in October.
That's
in October.
You've been on the streets patrolling for several years now. What is like your craziest experience that you've had? Like getting to a location, a crime scene, etc.
Yeah, something that
you can give us some light on some situation you've had that
really
like resonates or stands out with you.
I mean, for me, it's a sad situation. It was the officer involved shooting that we had at City Place last year in April. Yeah, it was something that was
I remember
that it was.
You were there?
No, I wasn't there, but I responded. But as a police chief, you're responsible, for anything that goes on in your city and for your officers. And we had an officer that was shot in the line of duty. Thank God he survived.
Staircase.
Thank God thank God he survived. And he was able to do something extremely heroic. He returned fire and was able to kill the bad guy. Yeah. But the bad guy shot and killed the security guard and shot and injured several other people. So it was a catastrophic situation. It was a critical incident. We had actually an active shooter, but we trained to respond to these types of incidents for a long time. And we were able to revert to our training those officers, right? I had 2 officers that were involved in the shooting. And we were able to, mitigate additional folks from dying. So as a police chief, it's the worst call. I got that call on a Saturday morning at 3 in the morning.
Is that call from like a cell phone or a radio?
No, it was on a cell phone. I was called from one of my supervisors. Said, "Hey, chief, one of our officers has been shot in City Place." So it's the worst call that a police chief.
But if you're getting a call at 3 a.m., it's not.
So
what was the occasion that happened there? I was never very clear on what the situation.
Altercation. It was an incident in one of the nightclub establishments that we had in City Place. Altercation between a few folks. A security guard, a young kid in his early 20s, went to intervene. The subject took out a firearm, shot the security guard, and killed him on the spot. Someone who was about to graduate from FIU that same month and was applying to become a police officer with the city of Doral. So dealing with the parents of that young man and seeing how they handled that as a father was the worst experience for me. but something that truly hit home to me, and how you got to enjoy life every day, right? We have a job, but it's a dangerous job. But the actions of that law enforcement officer to prevent additional people from dying, to apply the training that they had, all the officers and the responding officers, multiple agencies on board. It was a huge scene, international news, right?
Yeah.
But our officer responded and did what they were, what they swore to do under oath, right? Respect. And reverted to their training in terms of dealing with a critical incident, active shooter. So they were able to kill that guy, for lack of a better term. We're not
neutralize him.
No. Neutralize is a nice way to do it. But man, it comes a point where you cut the nice words out and you go, man, if you're trying to harm innocent people, we're going after you and we're trying to kill you, man. Because there's no negotiating, there's no talking, there's no discussion when you're trying to take somebody's life. There's zero. We talk about zero tolerance. That's zero tolerance. So thankfully, that officer is back on the road, doing amazing, and we're grateful to God that he's still with us.
I don't think City Face ever recovered after that. Let's ask him questions, dog. I got questions. You ready?
But go for it.
You eat a lot.
I do, man. I do.
What's your day to day like he said? But what do you eat to keep fit? To you have a diet, and when you do go out, is it like a cheat meal? How is it?
So I actually enjoy eating healthy. So it's not like a huge sacrifice for me. So it's a different mindset. I actually enjoy the process. But what works for me now, at this stage in my life, based on the level of activity and based on my schedule and lifestyle, is fasting, man. I fast for about 16 hours a day.
Damn. Wow.
So it sounds like a lot, but it's not too complicated.
No, it's not. I've heard of it.
I basically eat during an 8.
I've heard of it, but never tried it.
No, I've done it a couple of times.
I've never tried
3
it.
o'clock or something.
No. So I basically I have
Hell no.
black coffee in the morning. My first meal is around lunchtime, and then I have dinner again around 8 at night. And I'm good to go. I feel great.
Yeah.
The foods I eat, pretty simple. I follow mostly an animal-based diet. What is that? All the protein from the animals, right? That you can think of.
But not the cows that you see on the side of the roads there in Doral.
There's only a few.
The property breaks, the tax breaks.
And then I eat a lot of avocado, some fruit, not the high sugar fruits.
Right.
Cottage cheese, Greek yogurt.
Oh wow.
And
just a clean
honey
diet.
A lot of honey, a lot of berries, and for me, man, that seems to be working.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I have great energy.
You have good energy.
Great energy. I eat a lot of red meat, a lot of eggs, and it's working.
Listen,
It's working, absolutely.
ask him wait. I have some other stuff here. There's a big satellite off 25th Street or something like that, with some big land there.
There's a radio
where the cows are. What's that satellite about?
Well, that's the way we communicate with the aliens.
Okay, that's a good idea.
The space
First,
you guys.
talk about leading the force.
Direct contact. Chief, do you live in the city of Doral?
I don't.
Where do you-
I live in Kendall. Kind of born and raised in that same
Right, we're
area.
all from there.
Short commute to Doral.
Right.
But yeah, it's my roots are kind of already grown in that Kendall area.
I'm
The
a
kids
Kendall guy too. That's crazy. Another Kendall boy.
Yeah.
graduated from Southwest Senior High.
Southwest
Go
Senior
Eagles,
High, go
Purple
Eagles.
Pride.
Westchester
Go.
always makes them the best.
You know it.
All right, so give us your top 5 restaurants in Doral. All right, you're gonna start 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you got to start from the bottom.
From the bottom.
Yeah.
Or top
Or
three.
it'll be just no particular
Whatever.
order, but
So they all got to be good.
Yeah, but save
they are
your
gonna be
favorite.
the ones that you actually go to.
Yeah, I've seen you everywhere, so I'm going to be checking.
So number 3 is gonna come Francisca's or Francesca's.
El Pollido.
It's a chicken spot.
Shout out to Uber and those guys. We know them very well.
Yeah,
good people.
there's 2 locations around. If I'm doing chicken, that's my go-to. Chicken with a side of avocado and a salad. Amazing,
Okay.
man.
Keep
Amazing.
in line
Good
with the
work,
diet.
good work.
Yeah, it's good. To
Number
go.
2.
Number 2.
I know number 1 already, so I'm trying to
I think
dance
I
around
one
that.
too.
Number 2 is gonna be Gran Pollo.
Gran Pollo's phenomenal, bro. I used to
wow.
go there all the time.
Gran Pollo.
Chicken.
Hey, they used to be in Doral, man. Hey, they used to be in those Doral and those warehouses there off of
Gran
75th.
Pollo. I never
Gran
been there.
Pollo.
Amazing chicken, bro.
I'll treat you.
Amazing chicken.
Let me know. I'm
They
down.
have the fried cheese
Yep.
with the chicken,
Amazing.
avocado. You can actually get
avocado. He said avocado like 5 times.
And there's a Venezuelan
Send-
little
send
spot
cheap
in the corner
avocado.
that sells phenomenal empanadas too.
and as a side item, Gran Pollo will give you eggs, which is important.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Mr.
love
Protein.
it. That's good.
So,
Pollo.
and number 1,
And number 1, Chief.
Number 1
Moses,
on the
number
Chiefs
1.
list.
I gotta give a shout out to our boy Caesar.
I knew it.
Mordisco.
Mordisco's phenomenal.
Mordisco. I used to go to Mordisco so often and order the same thing that
Yeah.
they created a menu item under my name.
Oh, no way.
It's called the Chief's Asador. It brings 3 different cuts of meat. It brings chicharrón.
Wow.
It brings avocado. It brings a half chicken.
It does. It's very good.
Chief's Asador. That's the real deal. Hey, check Mordisco out. That's the real
Cesar
deal.
Gonzalez.
We're waiting for Cesar here at the podcast.
Yeah.
Cesar, where you at, bro? Let's go.
I love it. I do love that menu, and because it's authentic, all Venezuelan, obviously with the flavors, but everything there is good, even from the ceviches to the arepas, everything. So that's your go-to number one.
That's what I mean. Listen, you ask me tomorrow. The mindset, I'm very temperamental with food, but right now that's what I'm feeling.
But the top 3 always shift, between the year. I think that's pretty much it. I was gonna ask you a couple other questions here, but like what you thought about the Tyreek Hill situation, but maybe that's a little bit more.
Yeah, after he asked him the restaurant shit, I do want to ask him. Brother,
I wanted to ask you are you preparing for FIFA, like in any special way?
Oh, that's
tell
a
us a
good
little bit how the
FIFA. So FIFA is going to be a multi-agency event, man. We're going to need all the agencies on board to assist. So we're in the beginning planning phases of that as well, working with the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office and some other entities to ensure that all the resources, because you're going to have multiple spin-offs event parties, and Doral's going to be a hot spot for a lot of these parties. So we're involved.
Though, right?
We're involved in the planning of it, and we'll have definitely.
But it's crazy to me how we go out like normal citizens. We go, we drink, we have fun, we go home, and we don't think about all that planning that's going around us to keep us safe.
For sure.
Like when he's telling me,
Uber because you get pulled over in the Doral. Final question for you, brother. I've known you since the beginning, over 10 years, and you've climbed fast, bro. And you're doing a great job. What's the future for Lopez? Is there something maybe moving around, doing something bigger, maybe on a federal level? Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's the future like for Chief Lopez?
Man, that's a great question. God's plan, man. I've learned to kind of live for the moment a little bit and enjoy the ride. Because I grew up career-wise, I was thinking of the next challenge or the next step, kind of pushing forward, try to do better than my parents did, right? My parents were like, you got to do better than us. And that's kind of that's been my mindset. Yeah. But now I'm trying to enjoy the process. I love Doral, man. I love the vibe. I love the energy we have. I love the cops in Doral. So I love the community, right? So I'm trying to enjoy the moment here. I don't know what the next step is for me. We'll see what doors open. We'll see what doors open. Maybe it's in Doral, or who knows, man. I've learned to never say never. I did not think I would be in Doral 3 years ago, and here I am in Doral. So I'm just trying to enjoy the ride, man.
What does current Edwin tell 18-year-old Edwin if you could? If you could go back, what would you tell him?
Thank God you didn't have cell phones and technology back then. Because some of the jokes that we made and some of the things we went through would have been...
Some of your banter, I don't think would make the podcast. Brother, I want to thank you. I love you to death. You're not only the chief of police, not only do I respect the shit out of you, I love you like a brother, and I thank you for coming on, and then hopefully I can fast for a couple hours.
I would love to, man.
I love you, brother.
Too hard, bro.
I mean, they get us so much for everything.
Love you, brother. You guys have an amazing
Chief
show.
Lopez, baby.
Thank
Do not
you.
DM him. He's married.
Let's go. Let's go.